So, hello and welcome to my next chess video. This time I show you the game between Fritz 14 versus Monarch 1.7, and I have let them play this opening here, which has no name in fact, with Queen h5, but it's playable for white, and I want to test this, so maybe I can learn something here, but let's go through. Knight c3, d4, e3, e5, and queen h4. h5, attacking the e5 pawn, knight c6 defending, bishop to b5, pinning the defender of the d6 pawn, so queen d3, queen d6, bishop d6 doesn't work because this would hang the d5 pawn. And now knight f3, d5 here. There are two options. The first one is queen e5 check, and the other one is knight to d4. I chose this knight to d4 move, and now we had this knight f6, which was the first move calculated, attacking the queen. Queen goes to g5, and now the Monarch keeps on pushing with a6, and let's see both evaluations right around here. Stockfish had given this a slightly better for black, and so are both engines, but nothing is lost as you see here. White is perfectly fine, but let's see, bishop a4 maybe, then b5, not sure. Knight takes b5, pawn takes b5, bishop takes b5, and now bishop here. Well, it seems as though that black is defending everything, so bishop e5. Here, now you would have to take this, and yeah, well, if queen takes, then bishop to b3, and this should be fine, with a triple attack on the d5 pawn. And let's say you take there, then knight goes back, and maybe c5, knight here, and d5. Okay, you can take one pawn, but not quite sure if this position is any good for white. White is being pushed around, attacking the rook there, okay, but it's not so simple for black either to make progress. White can simply castle away here, so this might be possible. b5, knight takes c6, and here you could also go as white queen here check, and if you take, then knight takes, and okay, but how many squares does the knight have here after bishop to d3? Okay, it's true, you could go f4, and if en passant, then knight takes, and this should be playable for white because of this fragmentation of black, but black is also fine here in that position, so b5 is a good continuation here. So let's see what Deep Fritz 14 is coming up with. Knight takes c6, b takes a, knight d4 is here the preferred option. Knight e4, h6, queen g3, queen takes g3, f takes g3. Okay. Okay, this pawn is still hanging here. So, but c5 attacks the knight. The knight only has one square. e2. And after knight e2, bishop to d7. Defends the pawn and then castles. And after castles, bishop d6, rook takes f6. What? Bishop takes and rook takes f6. What about she takes f6? This is an interesting line here. Rook takes f6. She takes f6. Knight takes d5 for these two pawns. Knight takes d5, bishop e5, and knight to c3. Not sure. Okay, black's pawn structure is completely messed up, but I'm not sure if this is any good for white here. Knight takes d4, knight c3, f5, knight to b6, f5, knight to b6, rook b8, and knight takes a4, followed up with bishop to d6 and b3. This is the line Fritz is giving with b3. Not like this. Here, knight takes, bishop d6, defense c5, and now b3. Not sure if this is sufficient compensation, but Deep Fritz gives it as only a slight edge to black. Okay, in this opening, I think if white wants to survive, white has to sacrifice stuff. And now this was going down. Okay, we are currently at that board position here. Knight takes c6 has just been played. So let's try and recap the opening if I remember correctly. This is all standard. Queen h4 is the first very interesting move. Bishop here, queen d6, knight f3, e4, and knight there. Again, it's not working that good, this program. Let's try it again. Knight c3, d5, e3. No, not knight f3. Knight f3 wouldn't be that good. Queen h5 to attack e4, e5. Knight c6 defending. Bishop b4 attacking the defender. Queen d6. Knight here again attacking everything. Knight f6. And the current board position is this here with knight d4 coming back. And now h6. Monarch wants to play h6 and bishop to d7. This is what the Monarch wants to play. And after d3, the d3 c5, kicking the knight. Knight e2. This is Monarch's line, and queen takes g3, h takes g3, and bishop to d6. This is the line the Monarch gives. Followed up with d takes e4, d takes e4, and bishop to d2. And bishop to d2. Yeah, in all the variations, when I see this, black's structure is completely wrecked, but black has the bishop pair and has more space, and I don't know, I would rather be black also in that position with the move h6. So let's go back a little bit. Okay, queen g3 is forced, bishop d7, d3. Okay, what about queen takes, bishop takes in castles? Yeah, well then still c5, and maybe even e5 at some point, although in this case it doesn't work, it just loses a pawn. So here, maybe knight there, h6, h5, takes, yeah, but then you can block this, and there is nothing to worry about. So, what else can you play there? Queen g3, both engines. The Monarch has more time than Deep Fritz, but black's position is more easy to play, I have to say. But I think you also might try this opening because it looks interesting. Let's see, bishop to d7 now is calculated, followed up with d3. Bishop d7. Okay, first of all, we have to defend this pawn. What about b3? No, then and just a6, and don't see anything there. So what about a3 first? Let's say queen takes, f takes, bishop d3, and now this one, b3 takes, castles, and bishop to b2. I think this is one of the better options which white has. This knight can come to f5, so let's go g5 to prevent knight f4. Seems playable enough at least, but I don't think the queens will be on for so long. And a3, isn't this a little bit slow? a3, queen takes d3, takes castles, c5, g4, castles. Now the knight is attacked, so king here, but this loses due to this, because now the knight is pinned and attacked 3 times, so it's not so easy. So after castles, you kind of have to move the knight. If you don't, you can also go here, which is of course the other option, the only option which isn't losing. But now just rook to the c file, and white is completely fine here. I don't see a problem for white in that position. So this is one option you can consider here. a3. Why not just a3 in that position? a3, queen takes. What about c5? c5 immediately. Queen takes queen, bishop takes queen, knight d2. Yeah, but where is the problem here? Okay, you can castle, you can stay in the center. Let's say you stay in the center. Still, no, not b4. Still b3. Takes, takes. Now bishop here, but this doesn't do anything. Can just do that. Castle, play f4, or knight f4, or knight g3, rook c1. Many options here, many options for white and for black, but I only see this endgame here with a3. What's wrong with a3 in that position? Okay, we have b3 immediately instead of a3. We have b3. b3. Okay, queen takes, f takes, and c5. Okay, knight e2. This is Fritz's line. So let's follow this through a little bit. c5, knight e2, a takes b3, a takes b3. Why not? Oh, now you cannot do this. A takes b3, a takes b3. Yeah, this position is amazing for white. Where's the problem here? You have the open a file, you can castle kingside, have the open f file to work with. This knight can jump to f5. This bishop will come to b2 on this superb diagonal. So, okay, we have this queen takes g3. Monarch thinks h takes g3, but f takes g3 is much better, I think. With these two knights, this is amazing. And let's see both evaluations. Monarch is confident, and Fritz is still okay with its position. I quite like white here. Not that white is better, of course white is not better here, but it's a playable position for both sides, I would think so. And let's see if we see f takes g or h takes g. The other thing here is when the knight comes to f5 finally, then you don't even have to castle. You can go king e2, stay in the center with the king, but then you have to always be careful about bishop to. I can show you that. You have to be careful about bishop to g4. This is true. So probably after bishop takes, f takes, e5, e3, takes, and knight g3. Still bishop here going after that pawn. So rook there, defending, let's say, and just gonna make moves. And now if castles, you have this and that maybe. No, you don't have that. So you have to start with bishop to b3. And now let's say, this is too slow, you lose the pawn now anyway. Can you get it back somehow? You could take here and go knight here, fork the c pawn and the f pawn. And if takes, knight takes here, forking again 2 pawns. But the bishop can defend this. And with this outside h pawn, I'm not sure. Rook here attacks the rook and the pawn. So white could win a pawn there in this sequence of moves. So it's not so simple for 2-4-5 versus 2-4-5, but how to keep the f pawn. But okay, it's not so simple to win this. If the rook goes behind the pawn, then let's say check, knight here, h5, still you have to do something, h4, knight here, h3, rook there, and this one, I'm not sure. Knight takes, rook takes, bishop takes. Not sure. Yeah, white is up a pawn, it's true, but this outside a pawn, not sure if you can win this. Okay, we're currently in this endgame here, a little bit too far. So we are in this position here. Knight f5. You don't have to go knight f5. You can also do castles, prevent any d4, castles, and go bishop there. And after all is said and done, you can always go knight f4. You can sacrifice the rook if you want. For example, here maybe you can sacrifice the rook if knight takes here to follow, and if you defend the pawn, then this doesn't matter because here you lose the bishop. So those knights are tricky. How do you actually deal with this? Bishop here, king here doesn't really do anything because you can just take with the bishop with check. So this isn't on. So you get 2 pawns for the exchange at least here. So probably bishop e5, I'm not sure, to defend against this threat. But then knight here going after this pawn twice. If you take, then rook takes and you again face this threat. So let's say you go to the b file with this rook, it doesn't really matter. Then takes and knight takes here, and you get 2 pawns for it. So this is an amazing thing to notice about this opening, that in some cases you can sacrifice the rook here on f6 and it's not so bad. So what happens? Yeah, we are in this position here. No, not that one. This is the current board position with bishop to b2 immediately. Now let's say castles, like the Monarch is calculating. And now just see. I don't think that black is better here at all anymore. I think it's, yeah, white somehow. A little bit at least, because yeah, it's true black has the 2 bishops, but just look at the rooks. This rook is crossing, this rook is nice, this bishop is nice, this knight can come to f4, this knight at some point can come to d5. You can maybe sacrifice the rook at some point on this f6 square. So it's an amazing position for white. So let's see the last moves there. Yeah, b3. And here, yeah, this is, but why take it? Why take it? Why go c5 anyway? Why not just a3? Yeah, maybe because of knight b1, and now this pawn is lost. So yeah, maybe because of that. So yeah, we have castles, and now knight c3, a4. And this is also an option. Maybe going after this b3 square, and also maybe trying to give up the bishop for this knight to damage black's pawns even more. So knight a4 we have, rook fb8 preventing this, and now not just castle. I would do this. Now the pressure is on the knight, so the knight has to move. Where should the knight move to? Cannot move here. Oh, well, it could most probably. And here, because of this, the knight can come to e4. But I'm not sure. Then knight here. Bishop there, you have to defend the d-pawn. And then maybe a5. E5. Takes en passant. B takes, trying to... Yeah, but then g5 maybe. Not sure about this. Not really sure about this knight check. Okay, you have to go there, otherwise you go into some nasty discoveries. You sacrifice the pawn for what? This is the question. I'm not sure if this is so playable. So, okay, bishop c6. Say no, not e5. What can you do there? Quite sure. Bishop takes f6 immediately instead of castling. Bishop takes f6 immediately. Okay, this will be the move most probably. G takes and now castles. But then bishop here... not sure, no, this doesn't work because now the knight is under threat and the bishop, so bishop here. Maybe just c3. Not sure. And now this pawn is under attack. So you have to do something. Push it maybe. But then takes, and this knight finds a beautiful square here on d5. So you maybe have to give up the piece. And now this pawn is under threat, so king here. And now knight to d4 attacks the bishop and the pawn. So bishop here. And now knight here attacks the rook and the pawn. So I'm not sure. Probably you have to give up the second bishop as well instead of king here. You give this bishop up. And this rook endgame, I'm not sure. Here you also lose a pawn with black. So it's not so easy to defend this. It's not so easy to defend this with black. Although black has the two bishops, but this wrecked pawn structure, I'm not sure. Bishop takes f6 and knight c3. Bishop takes c3. Bishop takes castles. There are many options. All of a sudden, there are many options for white to get at least some advantage. Here, knight c3, knight a4 to c3. Instead of castles, knight a4 to c3. Going after d5 immediately. Bishop c6 I will go, because after bishop here, then knight f5. You give up this one for that one. Not quite sure. Maybe you get this in. That's true. I'm not sure why I allow this. This is, I think, too much now to handle for white. So knight c3, bishop here. Yeah, but what's the follow-up after knight ac3? Bishop e6, rook a5, rook a5, rook a5. Okay, but this pawn is not really under threat. Okay, now e5 is not on. And you can castle and go maybe on the a file to go after this a6 pawn. This is also interesting idea. What is black actually doing? Let's say you do this, king here, and rook to a1. This is basic idea. Also, now the pawn is on the thread. This pawn is on the thread. Knight b4, knight b5 is coming maybe. So also, yeah, Nimzowitsch would be proud here. Rook a5 just blockading the pawn and trying to get this in. It's simple. I think white is already much better here in this position. No, not much better, but knight c3, bishop e6, rook a5, f5, castles, rook d8. And we have now bishop e6, rook a5. So yeah, two knights versus the two bishops. It's not so easy that I think. But I think Deep Fritz 14 has managed to get a good position out of the opening in the middle game. I think there were a few inaccuracies. Yeah, but this you have to see beforehand. That you give up the second bishop as well. Here with knight a4, rook b8, rook fb8, bishop takes, and knight back to c3, just to get rid of your bishop. Bishop e6 and rook a5. This is very interesting play from Deep Fritz 14. The king can stay in the center for a while, it's not so bad. So rook a5, f5, rook a5, f5. This is what Fritz is giving. But let's see, they reach time control, I think. Yeah, but back to the opening, I will really analyze this a bit and see what's the thing there, because this looks very interesting. Here with the idea after a3, then you have knight b1 back, winning the pawn. This is very interesting. This is very interesting. Knight c6, rook a5. I'm waiting for rook a5 because Fritz is calculating this move, rook a5. Yeah, but what can we say about this? This whole opening is so you just play unorthodox here, and it seems so that okay, you don't get a lot out of the opening. This bishop b5, queen d6, and yeah, with this stuff you don't get a lot out of the opening, but you get a playable position. You're out of theory pretty soon, and yeah, you can play interesting stuff like here. Bishop e6 on the board, and now rook a5 most probably. See, after rook a5, what's the deal here? Rook a5, oh wow, g4, not rook a5, but g4. g4 is interesting. Okay, you try to distract the bishop away from the pawn here, and now you're threatening this fork. I see that, but what else does g4 do? Maybe it vacates this square for the knight, so you can jump here to f5 or maybe h4. Very interesting move here, g4. But okay, let's say you do nothing. Rook there. You can never really go here. That's the problem, because Yeah, this bishop will give itself up, and then you have a tripled isolated g-pawn and a lot of Garys here on the field, and this is not something you want. So, But okay, let's continue this. What is black actually doing? Let's say black continues with this stuff. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and now you have to defend. Now the rook can come here, also threatening this pawn. Maybe it's not so bad. But this pawn is under scrutiny. Poor. Not sure. Maybe it's not so bad, this tripled isolated g-pawn. Because black's pawn structure is also a full mess. If you take this immediately, then this one will come. And this knight is very pesky, and now you cannot get rid of it. F5 will be a super square for this knight. You cannot get rid of it, you're threatening this pawn. And if you defend it, then knight here forks the rook, so it's not so easy to get out of this with black. G4 is a superb move. G4, what was black's move? Okay. No, we had the move G4, and now bishop E5 and rook A5, and I think now this is it's still around equal, but I think white's position is we can handle this better. C4 now, C4 pushing the pawn, but then you can come in here to A5, bishop takes, takes, and what do you do with that pawn now? Oh, you can take an exchange of prisoners. This would be winning for black. Okay, so c4, don't take it. Yeah, but what else to do? Take it, rook takes, and now castles. Most probably. Bishop takes pawn, knight takes here. Going after that one. Knight here, takes, and rook there. And yeah, black cannot keep the extra pawn, but I think the other continuation would be better. 3 versus 3. Yeah, it looks drawish. It looks pretty dry. Okay, c4 we have on the board. c4 takes, and now what? h3 solidified his g-pawn, which is a strategic asset, and now Fritz is thinking that white is already a little bit better. We'll play the move h3. Strategically speaking, this is at least very good. This is at least, yeah, I don't know. 2 knights versus 2 bishops. In this case. Yeah, and note that this knight is covering this b1 square, and this knight is covering that knight. So there is no bishop takes, pawn takes, and rook b1 check, which would win the h1 rook. So yeah, this doesn't work anyway. h3. h3, what's the big deal? Bishop e6 to c8. I think this is a bad move. I think this would be a bad move. This would be a bad move because it allows, no it doesn't. But here you can just castle as white. Okay, this preempts any bishop to any rook to a1 with attacks on the a6 pawn. This is a very important pawn because it's an outside pass pawn. And let's see both evaluations. Yeah, Fritz doesn't really like this. Wants to castle with one pawn ahead. So bishop to c8. Yeah, it allows the knight to come in here at some point, maybe here. Also attack this pawn, so it allows too much. I don't think this is worth it. This pawn is unable to move, this pawn is unable to move. So this g4 from before was very interesting and very good move here. I analyzed a couple of endgames and stuff, and I always thought that white has the easier game here, but he castles bishop b7. Now, okay, going on to this diagonal, but it's blocked by its own pawn. But okay, it's also defending this here, this a6 pawn. And now those rooks can move somewhere. But where? Okay, one rook to the d file, okay, to add some pressure to this d3, to this pawn here. This is interesting because this pawn cannot move forward because there are two pawns preventing this. You cannot shield it so easily. Because this square is covered by the bishop, and this square will be covered by the rook, and is currently covered by the bishop, so it's not so easy to shield that pawn. And going defensive, not sure if you really want to do that. So bishop b7, rook fb1. Rook fb1 and rook a8 to a7. This is just to defend the bishop, but now knight comes in here. What's the deal here? Attacking the rook. And now the knight can jump in here. Sure, is this the idea? Knight e4. Not quite sure. It's a hard-fought game. Hard fight from both sides. Yeah, white's position just seems more harmonious. I think it's already very bad for black. Although black has the two bishops, but I don't think this is holdable. Knight e2 to... Okay, we have this. No, not in that position. We have that one. And knight d4. Bishop takes, pawn takes. Creating a pass pawn, but Is it a fast pawn? You have this knight b4 anyway, and now you also have this squares available. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Let's say you move the king. Maybe this does something. Knight here, rook goes back. Knight there, rook goes back. Now knight there. And if you take, then this rook there is hanging. So knight here. But what is this knight doing there? Okay, you cannot take it, but the king is defending this pawn, so maybe king e7 at some point will be necessary, because this knight is really jumping around quite badly. Yeah, but it will come here to add some pressure to this pawn. Prepare pawn push to d5, and what? Oh, okay, now the rook is defended. So knight d4. Yeah, this is too much to bear with. The rook takes the rook. Yeah, this position would be more interesting, which I'm currently analyzing, but I think it's still better for white, so let's follow the game. In the game we had this move right here. Bishop to a8, rook takes, bishop takes. This will be the board position. And now you can choose which knight to take. Probably the c... no, you cannot, because here the rook is defended, so you cannot jump to there. But this knight can go here, and this is a monster knight, and you cannot really get rid of it. So this pawn is under threat, so let's defend it. And now the other knight can jump in. You have to eliminate it, or defend the pawn. Let's say you eliminate it, and push. Rook here, push, takes, push, and the rook is just in time to hold the pawn, so here you're just up a pawn. So in this position you have to move the rook, the bishop, so let's say you move it to here. This allows the rook to come in there. Rook here, rook takes, bishop takes. Another knight has to hovel back. Yeah, no, this... Yeah, this outside a pawn, you have to factor this in. Oh, okay, it's even simpler. You just go for this pawn right there. Okay, and how to defend this? You cannot really defend that pawn anymore. So black is losing a pawn here. And I think afterwards it's pretty much dead, black's position. But let's see how fast the Fritz can calculate, because okay, the bishop returns back to this e5 square, and now, oh, Fritz just got more time. And let's say see both evaluations. Yeah, white should win this now. White should definitely win this now. But slowly but surely improving. King f2. Don't hurry. Don't take this pawn yet. You can always take that pawn. Be patient, my friends. Yeah, well, rook here. Now this pawn is en prise. Okay, this pawn is taken. Attacking the bishop. Bishop to b7. Will be played, and now rook a7, king g7, rook, no, not rook here, rook a7. Now king g7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns. So white is up a pawn here. Rook a7. And let's see the evaluation now again. +2. So yeah. Losing this outside pass pawn here, losing the a pawn, is very bad. Of course. Rook here, king e1. Where is this king going? Here, 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 here. No, wait. The king wants to go here, I think, to b4 to attack this pawn. But I'm not quite sure. Whoa. Okay, you cannot take, and rook takes because the bishop would be hanging. So okay, bishop g3 check. But this just helps white. White goes here. Yeah, this is now completely busted. King h8, just a nothing move. Rook a7 to a4. Again, you have this problem with that pawn. So rook back. But now you can jump in here, attack the bishop. So the bishop has to move somewhere. So let's say it moves here, because if it moves here, then you have this fork. And you don't want to have this. So bishop there. Now knight here, attacking the bishop. Attacking the rook. So let's say rook here, and now just they're attacking the pawn. You have to move it. Takes, or takes, rook takes. This is also an option. Rook takes to prevent any rook takes d4. Although this is still defended, so forget it. So let's say no, now it's too fast for me. Black has just given up a second pawn. .357 and yeah, this is now really winning. And I think I resign this now for black. Win for white. So let's see what Deep Fritz has to say about it. About this game. Let's open it. Deep Fritz versus Monarch. So here we have it. And let's ask Fritz a couple of questions in this game, because Deep Fritz 14 really played a good game there. So yeah, here the amazing move Queen h5. this is what Stockfish says, is here the best move, queen h5, knight c6, bishop b4, this is all according to Stockfish. Here I deviated, I chose to move knight d4 instead of queen e5 check. Knight d4, knight f6, queen g4, a6, b5, this is very interesting, c5. I don't see whether Monarch made a mistake. Here, okay, this g4 is very nice. It's a little bit too much, but okay, here you lose the a pawn. But why in hell? What about rook here? New variation. Then rook b7. Okay, bishop here. And then knight b5 to c3. Knight b5 to c3. Bishop to d5. King here, bishop there. Why here? Why not just take this pawn? Rook d7. Going after the bishop. Okay, the bishop moves. Rook d8 check. Knight here. Okay, and then the bishop. Okay, that's why you don't take this. Okay, rook takes, and here it was lost. And I adjusted the game because it was lost. I adjusted this as a win for Deep Fritz 14. And this, yeah. What can you say? This was just amazing play here. Here, bishop takes. Is there really not knight a4 or castles? Castles is what I analyzed, is also here on the radar. So castles or knight a4. Yeah, 2 pawns are 2 pawns, right? Thanks for watching and see you next time. Ciao.